Next session is about our favorite authoring environment. Which is it again? So actually we have two, vvvv and vl, and we opened the discussion to everyone, and we're just trying to figure out together what is good and what is not so good, and what is in vvvv what we love, and what is missing in VL, or what is in VL that is great, and but what's just the tiny pieces that that are missing, so that it's actually working, like the workflow is smooth and easy. So we had I mean, the discussion at some point went clearly into one direction, and that was VL. But that's probably just because of, I don't know, if it reflects the opinion of the whole vvvv community. I don't know, but that's how it went. The basic two topics.
So we sat down again this afternoon, tried to find the structure in all the notes, because it was a really broad discussion going here and there. So I would say maybe the most confusing topic, or the broadest topic. So we tried to find the structure in it now, again, this afternoon. And so we found out two main points of discussion. So the first thing would be, what is an authoring environment, we called it, and the second one is VL as an authoring environment. Okay,
yeah, well, so the broader topic and the...
Yeah. Okay, and now, so we just go through the points. So we said, so what is an authoring environment? It offers an overview of all the parts of my project. So the behavior of the logic of the program, and also the design part. So for the behavior, we have something like a patch editor, and we thought, okay, the analogy is for the 3D assets, we have a 3D editor, something like Xenco, and for the dramaturgy, we have a timeline editor and an automator, something like this. And all of these make up the authoring environment, maybe.
Yeah. So general idea was okay. Authoring environment, something is missing. We our vvv authoring environment, and also the VL, the broader environment, is just lacking these editors. And what's a good way to bring them in? I mean, if you start up just one vvv patch or VL patch, how could it be that just all these other editors just open and allow you to see, these are the 3D assets that are loaded, and these are the timelines that are loaded, and I can just select them in my timeline editor. So just this distinction between editor and the actual assets, the actual 3D assets, or automators or timelines. These, if you think about it, these editors at the end can be discarded when you run your project. So you could, from a vvv point of view, you could have two routes, one for editing your project, and one just for running it later on. Just from this viewport and point of view, and in VL there will be probably also some kind of same solution. I mean, in VL we at some point want to export the whole program. Then this is again another part. But anyways, you want to have this environment open up these editors from the beginning. So we were thinking about how to store the window layout, and we discovered actually the patch editor is just also an editor that allows you to browse through your select the patch, and then show the patch in the patch editor, just like in any other editor. It's just giving you some overview over your project. Yeah.
And then we kind of outlined this a bit further, how this could look, or try to find, collect ideas. And there's this idea that all these editors are somehow on a higher level. And if I, for example, have an editor for timeline, I would create this editor, but later in my patch I would have instances of some kind that get picked up by this editor. So this editor can display different things. It's not fixed to the actual instance of an, it's not an instance of one timeline, for example, but yeah, a more general thing. Also the patch editor can display different paths into your patch. Yeah. So these are just some ideas that came up.
We also talked a bit about the window layout, how this could be a settings file that's next to your project files, and then you might want to put them into your repository or leave them out, and both use cases come with features. I mean, if you want to share a window layout with your colleagues, then you put it in your chit repository, otherwise you don't, and then you have your own. So something like that. We were also talking about inspectors and previews, that they could behave in a similar way, that you want to place them, you want them to have there again when you restart the project, and and then the difference is when selecting a node in a patch editor, you could have a preview if there's a preview available, or you want to have a preview in your inspector.
Just similar like the inspector now in vvvv is already working.
And you could attach.
Yeah. And another thing that came up in this whole discussion, which is probably a point of its own, is having a visual diff. So Elias and Sebel discussed this a lot, so this is another idea that kind of fits in this whole environment topic. So just to name this is an idea to have a visual Git client and a visual diff. So yeah, let's discuss this later if anyone of you is interested.
But this is somehow this was for vvv and vl, and now we have this other point where it's only about vl.
So this kind of the whole discussion went into a lot of also accessibility details, but also more general things, like for example the mental model and the navigation structure of VL. So that we kind of focused it down on this, the mental model. So the mental model in vvv is pretty clear. It's data flow. It's just like a synthesizer. You put something in on top, it comes out on the bottom, something happens in the node. That's pretty much, I would say, the mental model of vvv. And now what is the model in VL? There are probably several models. So, yes.
Yeah, and there we just put on our agenda that we need to figure out the different design patterns or mental models, how to work with mutable data, for example, or how to work with different with process nodes and so on. So we need to figure them out and put examples out there. What are the design patterns, so that you can just take it from there and pick up the storytelling from examples. And then after that, we should ask ourselves, is there something missing still? Is it working, the storytelling, or not? And so one question that arose was, is there a high level patch missing that comes with some features from vvv, like in vvv we have this automatic spreading behavior, we have lazy evaluation, and we have the fact that when you connect stuff and create nodes, it's pretty fast. There's no compiler kicking in and no hot swap. So the question then would be, do we need the one or the other feature in VL as well, so that you can actually sell it in a way that it's that also the entry point, the high level patches of your project are easy to grasp and fast to work with. Okay, and a few other points. We were talking about how to navigate through VL. So the navigation structures should support that mental model. Well, in VL we have a solution explorer already, but what's missing is an object graph explorer. What we have in vvv is nodes sitting in nodes, subpatches sitting in subpatches, and you're used to that thinking that when walking through the instances that you also see the data that's running there, and we need to figure out how to not only show the source code structure that we have in the solution explorer, but also the object graph structure. So one thing that came to mind, that you have a breadcrumb that shows where you are within that object graph structure, and maybe you also want to name your process nodes, so that if you have a patch with 2 actor nodes, that you can name the 1A and 1B, and when you go into that one instance, that you then into torso process node, that you then see I'm in A torso, not in B torso. I see the data from this torso. Yeah. Did I?
Okay, so we have some other small points. Maybe one last thing is there was a discussion also about, again, the navigation structure, and where am I in the structure and where is my starting point. So we had some discussions about the root patch. Is there something above the document patch, or what's in there and how does that look? I don't want to go too deep into it, and there were some ideas of maybe also showing the dependencies on that level as nodes, probably. Yeah. So yeah, as we said, a lot of small detailed discussions about features and stuff like that. So yeah, let's have a look at the nodes in the forum and also these new nodes, and also maybe people can come in again who were in these discussions to comment on this new view of our nodes. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Questions?
Did you discuss interfaces?
Yeah, we just left it. we more UX ideas to make it look simpler, more UX consistency, menu style, indicators and nodes. Yeah, we just left it out. But yeah,
and also
because time is up.
Yeah, and there was also quite a big discussion about if people are kind of overwhelmed or confused, should features be hidden, or is this maybe not the way to go? So is that the solution, to just hide everything away so you don't see it, or do you need different patterns for your use case maybe? So I want to have a simple project, or there's lots of ideas about this and discussions. Yeah.
Has there been further discussions about target groups of VL somehow later from the?
No.
Well, it's somehow connected to what we said in the beginning, that there needs to be some mental model or storytelling, and from there maybe the target groups become more obvious. If we find some patterns and support these patterns, real high level, patching style where you only have nodes that are intelligent enough to talk to each other, like in vvvv, then yeah, there's a broader audience, and if yeah, it really depends how we end up after doing all this.
Do you think it makes sense to disconnect the authoring node connection authoring environment from the actual execution core? That would allow to use either a different editor for VL core or the VL editor authoring environment for a different core. Let's say to model a PD batch. If it provides this a certain interface. Do you think something like that would make sense to detach these two parts?
We didn't talk about it, let's say, at least not in this group. And I mean, there have been several ideas. For example, in the Zenko group, that VL could be hosted from a Zenko program, and well, VL in itself could be hosted somewhere else. I don't know if this answers your question. Not really.
Really, but it's
yeah.
Kind of, I mean, it's kind of related to I mean, it tackles the issue of packing the core of VL into something else.
No, we didn't discuss that in detail. Any other question?
Does it maybe make sense in the forums where all these discussions will flow into to decouple it from one authoring environment thread? I have the feeling that you discovered so many aspects that are loosely connected under the term authoring environment, and maybe the discussion turns out to getting endless if you discuss all the topics at the same time.
Could be, yeah. But I think we should first put all the stuff in this one thread and then maybe extract. It's another task to extract a single topic.
It looks to me that you split it up now, today, into those different subtopics.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, you could have split it in like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now maybe it's better to have 5 threads discussing the 5 topics.
I think it's also good to have an overview, so that, because the goal is to have really one thing that works, and in that group we really opened up to all these perspectives, and so I think it's a good way to talk about things if you try to consider different perspectives, and from there make up a time schedule.
One last question: how do you see the involvement of the community in terms of I don't know, contributing in some way, much be by opinion or whatever, to the authoring environment discussion? I mean, obviously this has been you take the notes from now and then you go away and you basically work on it for a while and just come up with something, or would it be more of a case that you'll continue some dialogue with the community as to how it actually develops?
No, I think what was discussed in the timeline group and in the Zenko group, these are all examples for where the community can help, and I see the connection also to what we were talking about with how to integrate that into the authoring environment. So yeah, it's really all interconnected, and the ideas of how people can contribute in the timeline will help a lot. I mean,
but there'll be but I guess it's the thing. It's about kind of figuring out the right process by which our opinions will basically be filtered through to you, and then you kind of ask us for feedback about things, that kind of, look at it kind of that way. What I mean to say is that if, you know, as a member of the community, obviously I'm using the software all the time, and I think that if you as the developer, we probably want to be able to say to you, this thing is still a bit of an issue, then obviously you can basically say to us, well look, it's something that we're looking at and working on at the moment. But the thing is that if it's just a case that we say some stuff and then it kind of goes into the office, and then you work on something that's completely different.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then our contribution hasn't really meant much. I mean, we have a conversation now, but then it's actually become like an actual kind of consistent conversation.
Mm. So with contribution, you especially mean the communication part.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to start a communication and try to take this, take it from there. Like we present that in the forum, and that's the ideas that came up, and I think there will be some communication, and I mean it will not be that focused, or it could be even more chaotic because there's so many people, and then it's harder than meeting, of course, but we have to try that.
Maybe that's not a solution, but we are having these Berlin meetups now, which of course it's only Berlin, but still some face-to-face communication. Maybe if those discussions somehow continue there, we have to figure out how to also feed that back to the forum again. So there could be another channel, another node.
Link. Well, then we can officially close this. But then we guys. So I think then we can officially close this summer camp, and I hope you guys enjoyed this place, and thanks for the team. Maybe, I mean, it's not only me. And I hope you enjoyed it, and let's do it again. From my perspective, it's worth it. Yeah.
Good job.
The lake is still open.
Go to the water. The lake is still open.